countries, the entire world rather. So if we don't develop our product, if we don't have our industries in place, new innovations, if it's not there, new factories, new companies, new thought process, it's not there, then it will be a dumping market for all of us. So new brains will come up with new products, new technology, and invite people. The company will come, but the invention should also be aligned to the requirement of the organization, the company. So that bridge we can really try to the bridge, for the organizations, for the corporates, and for the university. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Very important point that you mentioned this, the way we usually treat that academia trains a student to become an engineer, and then research is a whole different ball game altogether. To break this, the very concept, so there has been the new education policy has come up where this type of internships and this thing are being thought of. The same thing, Mr. Palit also told that they have to train. Of course, there is a safety aspect to it, but if we give our students, not give away, but let's say we send our students for a period of 6 months, or let's say for a 1 year period, that in turn gives you a good way of good starting point for you also based on the discussions, because in the morning session, in the earlier panel discussion, we were hearing that time becomes very prime factor. So we usually, that's across different the sectors. Everybody wants the graduate engineer training, so they have to be trained. So 6 months, 9 months, 1 full year is a good enough time, I think. So if you can have some amount of thought how we can bring these things together, we can probably work closely, and not to forget the importance of programs like this where we get to know each other. In my morning opening remarks, I was saying that for quite a very long time, industry and academia has been thought, and so we were in our own way happy in our own worlds. We thought that we were great teachers, we know the subjects better, and many times, because I have been to different industries for seeking collaborations and support. So they think that we actually do not know their problem, which is a fact. Like for example, I am raising a kid at home, so I exactly know, and what are the pain points by treating my kid and all. But my wife, who spends 5 times the amount of time that I spend with my kid, so she knows it much better. So we do not know your problem. We might know them in principle, but in details you know it better. For example, for the heavy industries, their processes are optimized over a period of decades of experience. We don't know that. As professors, we don't know that. But we, on the other hand, keep up in the sense that because we have our PhD scholars, we go through the journals and all, because our work, the job profile demands that. So in that sense, these discussions and the discussion that we are going to have a head during tomorrow or during the dinner, we will try and find ways and means of getting us together. So quickly moving forward, I go to the next topic. I'm having a phone call, so sorry. So there is a lot of focus also on the startup ecosystem. Inculcating design thinking among students right from the beginning, not just for the engineering students, but also I am seeing a lot of efforts by the Ministry of Education for starting such programs even in schools. So entrepreneurship is coming up in a big way. Dr. Das spoke about jobless growth. So why do we need a job? The idea is that, so everybody, why can't we think of a problem and solve it? And this is very rationally correct, because we come from different backgrounds, different strata of the society. We see problems and probably we understand those problems better. The entire crux of Dr. Das's, what I got from his session was that he sees the problems from a completely different perspective because he has been there. So we see the world in a way based on our experiences. So with that background, where people come from different parts, they see the problems, our students I'm talking of, they see the problems differently. Because they see them differently, their solution approaches may be different, and we train them in a pre-decided manner. We have a program fixed for that. And then they can think of their, this is to aiming, equipping those students with tools and techniques to know about how things go around in the world, in the engineering landscape, the technology domains, and then they become entrepreneurs. Like we have Mr. Maji, Dr. Maji, sorry, and Mr. Modi and so forth. Not our Prime Minister, but Mr. Manoj. So sorry for that. So just like to hear from two of you on this aspect, like what can be the role of us, like in Meghalaya to be specific, but in general of the academia, of how we can take this forward, how do we think of it? We have never done business, so you all are doing that. Okay, so please enlighten us, and I'm sure the industry delegates, so they can also add on later. They will start with Dr. Maji so that there is no confusion. Please take your time, sir, because we do not have students, so you can take your time.
Okay, I hope I'm audible. Thank you so much for this opportunity. First of all, glad to be a part of this esteemed panel and sitting together for this. It's really an honor. Now coming to entrepreneurship, when we talk about startup is actually a very different thing. Here, when a person starts or a couple of people who get together and start with an idea, at that point of time, the understanding of that problem statement is just not enough. There is lot of other things allied to that which actually would make or break a business. I believe the first thing that every engineering institute should start is a course on economics. Basic fundamental economics. Business is where it's good that you start with your passion, but if we are not bringing some value for which there exists a business, there exists a market, then we will fail miserably. So the first thing, if you ask me, is that basic financial knowledge, basics of economics is very important and it should be a part of our curriculum. Even individually managing finance and all those things. The other thing is that a startup typically, there is a adage in, I work a lot with Gujaratis in last 1 year, and I have picked up a very nice adage from them. They say that 3 saal tak, in that whenever you start a business, for 3 years or for 1,000 days, you nurture it like a baby, you put all your money, everything that it demands onto that. On the 1,001th day, if it is asking for any more money, then that's not a sustainable business. Now that 1,000 days, don't take it literally. It can depend on different type of industry and different type of businesses. But roughly, I hope you got the idea. So initially, whenever a person is starting with a project as a business, in terms of startup or even a general business where they are not using this buzzword which is to go behind VCs and get money. But if somebody is starting a business, then it is very important that initial those days, all types of support is provided from the ecosystem as much as possible. A very nice example is how Israel has done it. It's called as the startup capital of the world for a reason. Not only government, but academic institutes also would play a very important part on this. Now when academia collaboration typically in India has been where there is a problem statement in some industry, the academia expects that the industry will send in the problem statement along with some project fund and we will get that thing done and we will submit it. It works very well with bigger industries and bigger companies who have that resources. But a startup does not. Startup is typically, I believe that it is resources are less, and we are taking on head-on some of the biggest of the behemoths in the industry. And at that point of time, we need support in all ways. Let's say, for example, I am very much proud to say that we are collaborating with NIT Meghalaya under different contexts. Like we build radars, specifically automotive radars, and for lot of our testing, for lot of guidance and consultancy, we look up to the professors over here. We are working with them. We are applying to different type of projects for government support as well. And that has been one of the very interesting way in which we could tackle the problem, where we do not need to invest a lot on R&D equipments and all, but at the same point of time we can contribute to the institute by getting R&D projects from elsewhere, from government of India together as an academic collaboration as well. And that means that I do not have to spend huge amount of money in getting like a spectrum analyzer or a signal generator costs us 20-30 lakhs. We don't have that kind of a money to spend just on a single equipment. Whereas here we can actually rent it out, or we can work out with the professors over here and get things done. So these kind of collaborations needs to come in very much, where the resources are widely shared, whichever can be shared, of course. Specifically for industries where it is actually very resource intensive to build those kind of industries. And this includes both your students as well as opening it up to other within this ecosystem. There would be many other entrepreneurs who would be trying to develop something. So opening that one up, and of course at that point of time you can definitely have your incubation where you can ask for equities and stuff. The model can be discussed and brainstormed around, but that opening actually would create a lot of impact across the ecosystem, I believe. Thank you.
You hear from this movie?
Yeah, thank you. Can I club both the question? Is it
Yes,
possible?
yes.
Yeah. So, in my eyes, like the second question was what NIT can do to nurture their students for a startup and all. So I agree with sir what he mentioned, that the number one thing should be taught is economics, and I completely agree on that, because what we see in market, out of 190 startups or sometimes more than 90 startups get closed because of their financial non-discipline and all those things. So let's come to first thing what NIT can do. So you might have an incubation center like other institute also have. So while incubating a company or an idea or a startup, you must see the person or the team has both the 3 E's complete. So what are those 3 E's means? Is that idea is completely educated. So education is given for that idea. Is there enough exposure about that, or are the student having sufficient experience about it? So experience, education and exposure, if you 3 things you validate before signing a proper incubation agreement or giving a Nidhi Prayas 10 lakh rupees of assistance or whatever it may be. So just see whether that is going on or not. Number one. Number two, what you can do, you can actually ask them to better get incubated and start working on it, but ask your students to at least work in a similar or equivalent industry for a year or so, maybe as an internship or as a job or whatever it may be. Get the training, at least understand more like what it takes to build a business. There are a lot of expenses which is not visible now, but the moment you actually set up a company, you have to pay rent also, you have to pay different department salaries also. There are a lot of legality also involved. So better work for some time. Do not discourage, but it is required. If we just nurture the say, okay, it's very good idea to build a startup, at that we will have to listen, sorry boss, I am not able to manage it. So better teach them in a way that you have a good education, exposure and experience in that domain, number one. Number two, and you work somewhere sometime. And one most important thing which sir has mentioned is experience or knowledge about economics is very, very essential. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, both of you. So if I give you a takeaway, it's like financial literacy for our students, and basically teach them to be frugal. Particularly all startups, they start lean. They have to start lean. Unlike like those heavy industries, because they are heavy because there is a lot of investment involved to start them. So this model works just for the information of all present here. We have an entrepreneurship cell here. So we have, under that we have a Section 8 company which has been opened in the name of NITM Foundation for Innovation and Technology Introduction or something. NITM PT to be in abbreviation. Unfortunately, over the past decade or so since our establishment, we didn't have sufficient space to have a center, because cell, if they have to be there, they have to have house students. They have to have this, there has to be some place for that. Activities has to be there. That was not there, unfortunately. Right now we have space, so we started small. In the evening, probably we will introduce you with the faculty colleague who coordinates with that. It's very unfortunate that he also does not have any business background. So this saying that we have to make our students financially literate is something, but then we ourselves are not very literate in terms of like our business runs. Okay? So we take into account this.
I just want to add one more point here. In case you do not have a sufficient resource or faculty who comes from a business background and all, see this kind of a panel, this is a second panel setting, so I think more than 20 people are here in this room, comes from an industry background and all. So why don't you make them as a mentor?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That is the whole point.
So that is one thing which you can do it, and otherwise the faculty which you assign with them for as an internal mentor, you ask faculty to also visit industry instead of just sending in students for an internship and all. At least once in a year, some 1 week of time, faculty also should go and see industry and then get the feel out of it.
Yeah, my entire industry experience is of 2 days. I work for Cognizant. I joined the first day and I had some friends who were already working. I joined after masters. So the next day I discontinued. I said this is not for me. So I am not qualified actually to give any advice to the students, but of course you all can mentor. You all already do have, just for information, Ministry of Education is having this Madan Mohan Malviya teachers training, something specifically for design thinking and entrepreneurship. So we are a part of it. We have some of our mentors are here. Mr. Palit is here. So there are many. So he is visiting us, giving this conclave. So we look forward to support from all of you. See, I see this the entire this education. The paradigm shift which is currently going on in terms of asking the students, making them aware about how to build startups and all. The entire activities, the amount of activities which goes under the name of entrepreneurship cell as a safety net. So starting a business involves risk, it involves capital. Students, we don't expect that each and every student will have, probably most of them will have none of them. Capital doesn't mean that you have few lakhs or few tens of lakhs. So most of us do not have that, most of our students do not have that. So the government is also taking initiatives on how to minimize the risk. So you can think of it as a safety net. There are funding schemes which are available. Unfortunately, we will probably need help from all of you. So anybody who is willing to have some, give us some time to mentor us, we will be discussing over it. Our discussion during our discussion at 5 o'clock with the director, we'll see how you can help us. So the only thing, as I mentioned in my earlier opening speech, we are young, we want to grow, and growth doesn't happen without a partner. So when we grew, our parents, our relatives, the people who brought us up, so they were there. So we look towards look up to all of you for as mentors. Quickly summing it up, the last point that I will touch upon is there are a lot of technology disruptions which are coming up, particularly in the field of AI. The sustainability goals and the ramifications of sustainability that Dr. Das also mentioned, particularly in the underwater domain, but that is the case in general. So, and see, businesses primarily, the distinction what I told you previously was that we think of academics that we want knowledge, industries are there to make money. Of course, people have to get money, so people work for that. So, while achieving those goals, we many times discount the fact that there are environmental implications. So, under this case, like this is like checks and balances. How do we balance them as a new institute? So, we'll hear from people who have, mentored businesses, who are running their own businesses. So, one after the other, we'll start with Mr. Upadhyay and then finally we'll go to Mr. Yash.
Hello. Yeah. Thanks. So I think I will just take you from where our last panelist left, because I'm also an entrepreneur myself. So there are a couple of things that I want to align with your discussion. One, when we look at any startup or any entrepreneurship or any innovation initiative, we need to first scan where is the world headed. So I would request all students who are here to download World Economic Forum 2025 report, go through areas that World Economic Forum report talks about in terms of top 10 employment generation areas. You can put it in 3 buckets. First bucket is no-brainer: AI, ML, cyber security, software development. Still there is network. That's the first bucket that it talks about. The second bucket is about, which is an interesting bucket for you to look at, is renewable energy engineers and environmental engineers. And robotics is also coming, which is aligned to this field, and EV that's the fourth area. So the second bucket is environment, renewable, EV, robotics coming as a big area. And the third bucket is our traditional bucket of agri is still an important area. World will face a lot of food crisis, so agri continues to be a big area, along with delivery, truck engineers and all those guys. Though I was under the impression that job will go away, but I think these are the areas where there will be huge demand from a global perspective. So you scan and look at globe first, where the World Economic Forum 2025 report is a must read for all of you. The second aspect is, where is Indian ecosystem headed towards, in terms of government agenda. So if you look at government agenda, there is an AI mission government found. Semiconductor mission is coming in a big way. So I think that's another area where there will be a lot of startups that will come up. There is a big fund, I think $10 billion startup fund by 5-6 big investors who are coming in for semiconductor specific funding. So I think that's the second mission, semiconductor mission. The third one, where government has set up target for renewable energy, that 500 gigawatts of renewable energy. That's another also area that is coming up. Solar for the first time has become unit wise cheaper than coal. So solar will see a lot of startups and a lot of interesting thing going forward. So you scan globe, you scan Indian ecosystem, then you scan local ecosystem, where you're sitting. The important point here is scanning the local ecosystem is you need to be near customer. You need to be near problem to solve a problem. So you have to always look at what are the local problems that map to Indian ecosystem, that map to the globe, and then you arrive at your area of focus and startup. So if you look at Meghalaya, obviously renewable energy is one of the areas being spoken about a lot. Agri is another area where there is a lot of potential. Tourism is not top 10, but I think tourism obviously is the mainstay here in terms of job and growth, but there needs to be more innovation. So then you map the local area and say this area probably just maps with overall alignment across globe, across India, and there we can bring in some disruption. And the important thing in any innovation is you need to be near problem and customers. You need to be talking to customers while you are building the product. So most of these startups that I mentor, they spend 1 year building the product and then say, "Ab chalo isko bechte hain. Where should I go?" It should not be like that. You need to work on both parallelly. So you need to be spending half the time on product, half the time with the customers on the field, figuring out, because product or startup is an iterative process. After 1,000 iteration, you will get your startup idea right. So it's very important that you do that. And then another important aspect is your team. You are in a college where you have people with equal bandwidth, which is very interesting. You need to also look at tech is very important piece. You can't say that technology, you are in engineering college, so that should not be a problem. So technology is very important, but have at least 2-3 good team members as part of your portfolio, because that's important for any innovation to happen. So I think these are some of the major points I wanted to just touch, because students have finally come in. So I just grabbed that opportunity to reiterate a lot of points that other panel members have mentioned, that you need to think it in a very, very serious way. And most importantly, you are sitting in NIT where you have access to 7 nanometer IC fabrication lab, you have access to also map your institute's strength. So when you're developing your startup idea, you have access to faculty, you have access to NIT resources. How can you leverage that? That is also another important aspect when you are building and looking at an idea. So that's all I wanted to say on these aspects. You can take questions later.
Thank you. Mr. Yash.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank the management of NIT Meghalaya to give me this opportunity. I am really feeling honored and privileged to share the panel with share the stage with such experienced panel. So, Mr. Upadhyay mentioned about 3 buckets in this conversation. I'd like to touch upon the first bucket about artificial intelligence, right? So, we have a concern in all of our mind that AI might be taking over. AI, we are not going to have jobs. People are going to lose jobs because of AI. Definitely, that is already happening. It's not key that is future that people are going to lose. Already, automation has taken over in multiple industries, and jobs have been shifted to completely on AI. But it is not something which we should be scared of, I feel. Because maybe the job market will shift, but it will not disappear, right? Like what research we have been doing about AI and what development we have been doing about for our upskilling programs at UNLOX on AI, we have noticed one thing, that the AI generalist roles are going to be more in future. So there are 2 types of roles: either you are a specialist in a particular role, or you are a generalist in particular industry or in particular area. Right, so the AI generalist is basically a person who can do everything using AI. So you might have heard about a new term recently called as solopreneur. Right, a solopreneur is basically a person who is running the company or running the particular business individually. Right, so solopreneurs are the future which we feel because of AI, because like you can build AI agents, you can set up complete automation, you can do marketing using AI, you can do sales using AI, you can develop product nowadays using AI. So solopreneurs, which is something, is the future, and that's what AI generalist is, the future of future roles which are going to be in demand, which I feel. So yeah, definitely like from past 2 hours you have been listening to all the experienced people, and I don't feel anymore I have to add anything, and I have learned much more things than what I was 2 hours back. I feel now I have more experience just by listening to all of the people, and thank you so much again for giving me the opportunity to share the stage with all of you, and thank you so much. That's it from my side. Yeah.
Thank you very much. This has been a very important aspect, AI coming up in a big way, but I wanted to actually someone to address the sustainability issue, what challenges they bring. I mean, in my mind, when I prepared this, I had Dr. Das, because we were not there. before we take questions from the audience, just a minute on, just hand over this. So, as an educational institute where we are training students for the industry, for the world at large, keeping in mind that industries have to make their profits, how does that impact, like how does this sustainability and these things, SDGs, how do they impact, what ramifications they have, and how responsible are students, like we altogether, but our students particularly, they should be for the future world. So if you can add that aspect, then I consider that my all the points have been taken. Please.
First and foremost, I think industry as a whole feels environment is not important. I mean, the success on which an industry is measured is primarily on how much money you make. That's fine. Everybody has to have parameters. And in that, if you tell them that you must invest in sustainability, it is considered a wasteful expenditure or a non-productive expenditure. So that's one. But when we want to build a business which has to last longer or which has to be a long-term investment, even World Economic Forum says $45 trillion is what we're going to lose because of the present trend of climate change and sustainability. So that's a huge cost. I mean, it's very simple. I mean, heavy industry, you build something, a factory in a place where if there's a natural disaster and everything comes to naught, where do you go? So that's one part of it. But today, on the trigger of all these, chambers and think tanks and everything, now there are compliances which you are supposed to meet. So industries are now required to meet compliances in which there are different names given to it. ESG is one, or various other things. I mean, sometimes even CSR is also supposedly to meet certain requirements. So again, now how does industry get smarter to use? See, you have to spend some money or some resources into this. How do you make it in a way that it will finally help your larger productivity or larger, your books in some sense is something we need to look at. So that's another dimension that we need to look at. So compliance is also now becoming very heavy. I mean, as you mentioned about hidden costs, many times you think ye to hum kar hi rahe hain, but then you have to spend extra money, and it's not that you can certify yourself. You need somebody else to certify, which costs money. Or even the Western conspiracy, if I may use the word, if you have to get a loan from World Bank or IMF, you need to get certain credit rating, which is given by them only. Right? I mean, it's another guy from you sits differently with a different chair and table, and he gives you that credit rating, and based on that you will get big money. So it almost forces you to go to him. Right? So those are issues that we need to look at. But turning this into an opportunity, I mean, now sustainability can be an entrepreneurial opportunity. Environment impact assessment is a very huge, particularly not for profit, like even NITs and IITs can make big money in terms of giving certification, in terms of sustainability, and kind of giving the mentorship to achieve sustainable goals. IIT Guwahati teaches SDGs as a course. The humanity department teaches that as a course. So now climate change is becoming important for academic institutions to make it part of the curriculum. So that's another area. So I mean, I can even suggest a business model that an institute like NIT can become a hub to initiate such courses, which you don't have to run after industry. Even the other academic institutions can outsource that to you, and you can kind of on one end you can get grants from the government that you are running this, but at the same time it can be a business model that other institutes can outsource to you, and you can take it forward. So that's an important area that, and even industries have to show as part of their CSR that they have given training to their people. Like safety is one important thing which was discussed in the previous panel also. But even climate change and sustainability is another area which is now becoming part of the compliance for them. So that part can be given by you to them, and it becomes. But for the young people, this can become a sustainability can be a big entrepreneurial opportunity. So I think I'll stop there.
Thank you very much, sir. So it has been a real pleasure to have this discussion. I don't know the students, if those who came late, you have missed it. If you take away points, one thing is just for those who were not there and our Dean Academics is there some suggestions that we got out of this panel to teach our students with financial literacy. Safety was that we already have it, but we'll take into it, we'll take to the Board of Studies back and we'll do our homework for that. The entrepreneurial cell should do something about it. We'll plan our actions, but we have noted this. Then also, getting into those World Economic Forum, many of our students are very interested to start ventures because we have that safety net and we have that some amount of funding to start off where there is not the risk of failure is drastically reduced before they go to the industry and take a job. So with that they are interested, but then there are some of the very basic steps that we can start off, good starting points, so those were discussed. So we have taken note of it, and of course newer avenues, something which was unheard to me at least, like what Dr. Das added at the end, because SDGs are big goal. I mean, you go to any big multilateral funding agency, one of the primary where things get stuck is your compliance to the SDGs. How you are bringing some addition to the state of the affairs. So nice to hear from all of you. I like many of the industry partners who are here. If you want to add something, or if you think that as a degree offering university and Institute of Technology, what we should do in terms of taking this forward, modalities of interacting with the industries, any suggestions, any comments? We'll take it briefly because as already discussed. So you can please volunteer. Where is the mic? Yes. Anybody wants to add something? Otherwise we'll go to questions from the students. Yes, sir. How was the scene? Back to you.
Before coming to this place, I have come here only 10-15 days back. I am an advisor of one of the company. They are going to start startup. But in that case, I am an investor. It was a big problem. For investor, actually, I will try to contact our friends. So I am IITian, so I tried to contact one of my friends here in USA. He is investing 10 crore rupees. Then he told that there is somebody from here because our location is at the Noida. So I got one person, he invested 2 crore and one he invested 1 crore. So after this 13 crore, we are going to open the factory. Now I am not able to partner with that, I am just an advisor. So I am telling you, see, to choose an advisor is very, very tough. And these students, but I am here since last 15 days, I am in contact with so many students. I am basically visiting professor here, civil engineering. I have contacted them and I discussed with them also. So I am telling you frankly, because you see, new students, it will be very, very difficult to attract investors. And now I am telling you, being actually I retired as Additional Director General CPW, and I was Director PM in Manmohan Singh during Manmohan Singh government. At that time we started investing in this one highway, NHI. So there we brought a model PPP. Initially it functioned, but later on it could not function. So due to that now we have changed the model in NHI also. Actually I am chairman of one of the work Moradabad, and in 3 years I am member of NHI. So I am telling you, see, what I feel personally, in my personal feeling, that this one, there is a lot of gap between the students and the industry. So this gap should be introduced. To reduce this gap, what they should do, they should they should bring some of the industry people in between sometime, and they should try to deliver the lectures, so that by getting such experience, the gap between the students and the industry, that will reduce, so that when they come to the industry, because I know industry people will say, I don't know, so I will not take you. Because I was also member of this one EPSC for 3 years in interview board. So actually, to reduce that gap, industry must be called here, and they should deliver the lectures irrespective of this. Suppose mechanical engineering department, computer, so there are so many. So they can come and they can deliver the lectures, and that will only reduce the gap between industry and the students. Otherwise, I am here since last 15 days, I find lot of gap, because I don't know their thing. I am telling you frankly, they work on the computer, I don't know what they do, I don't know. So, and what I know, it is difficult to understand.
Thank
so
you, sir.
that is my view.
No, we have taken the first step to bridge that gap. At least you have visited, you were there in our previous Shillong campus, right? There was hardly any space. We could have not thought of hosting 30 people from the industry in our campus. So the ice breaking session is done. We assure you that we will try our best to keep in touch with all of them. I'm sure they will like to visit. And the main responsibility, of course, stays with the students. Because at the end they will not come for us individuals, right? They have to find some merit in visiting this place. So if we collaborate with industries, who is going to put the man hours? Let's say we take up a joint project, we take up some research work, we take up some consultancy work. At the end of the day, who gives the man hours? It's the students. So with that responsibility and with that responsibility put into your court to manage, I think it's a good time where we can see if there are any questions from the students.
In this, just I wanted to add, actually, I think what actually we can design this in a way so that the person who is visiting actually is not coming over here and just giving a lecture and going back. He should spend some time also. You can design that.
Yes, sir.
And that, I mean, there should be some brainstorming sessions, there should be some, maybe some idea generation sessions also should be there. And it will actually, create a bridge. It can create some bridge which we are actually thinking of.
Yes.
So I think that is what I also wanted to share, and it will really, I think it will help.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Sir, it's just like that. Although we cook every day, there are certain occasions, let's say birthday of somebody is in the family, so that cooking becomes special. So this is an occasion, this is not the end, this is just like the beginning, a showcase. On behalf of the institute, on behalf of our director, on behalf of all our faculty colleagues and the students, of course, please do visit us. I understand all of you have a lot of responsibilities to execute. So as and when time permits you, that thing is always there. We come interact with us. At the end of the day, it's not possible logistically that we take all our students. So you have to come. So whenever you find a longish weekend, remember us, just get in touch with me or one of our professors. We'll be very glad to host you, have time for interactions. Any students? We'll take only maybe one question, so try to have it in such a way that we have it's common interest.
Actually, I wanted to add on the point that I forgot earlier. So, like, we have been discussing about the gap, right? From the start that there is a gap, right? So, I have graduated 3 years back recently, and the problem which I also faced that majority of the time as a college we think that the industry training or the skill building, upskilling should start once a student is in third year or in a final year, right? That the placements are about to start, colleges are concerned about placement. But I feel that upskilling is a habit, and if we start it from first year itself, then that habit will be built on year or semester on semester, which will help that student to have enough skills and enough portfolio to be shown to the recruiters when the student will be in the final year. So this was the one point that I wanted to add, that if colleges will start thinking more about building industrial skills from first year itself, because we talk to multiple colleges, we talk to multiple institutions, and we get one feedback from them that why do we need to focus on these things for first year student? We should focus more on their academics. Definitely academics are important, but along with that, if we start focusing on first year student about industrial knowledge and industrial skills, that habit will be built on in them from first year itself. Yeah, that's it.
Obviously, that is a fact. The government of India also is for the regarding many things are spoken about employability of the graduating students. There has been a focus since the last 10 years or so about specifically on skill development. Mr. Upadhyay knows we are in fact getting in touch with this thing for certain very specific skill development programs, starting with AI, of course, and of course we have plans in future, semiconductors being another one of it. So We will do that, but again, just like industries need compliances, institutes also have their the credit systems and the hours. So, I mean, although ideas are all welcome, but at the end of the day, I'm sure Dean Academics is taking note of it. We are very nimble-footed in that way. Things are, we take it up to our Board of Studies, it goes to our Senate, we try and because we are an autonomous institute, we do not have the authority to self-course correct, so we do it through that Senate. So we do that with points well taken, we will be discussing about it, but should I take a question, Dean Academics, what do you think? One question. Acha, you will be the question. I thought I'll ask one. I will not keep without one student question.
No, exactly. So, what we are trying to do, this is the, mostly we are talking about the gaps. Is there really is there a gap between academics and industry? I do not fully agree on this. So what maybe we are talking about, maybe the skilling part, that differences or some experience differences. It is not, I do not accept that academics, it means completely different from the industry or the experience they are gaining from the books or from the one book is the experience of 40 years. One book is the experience of 20 years data. One book is the experience of world's famous, so many interesting things are there. So it is not exactly the experience and whatever, if we are thinking only on the field, if we are doing, that will be giving us the experience. Definitely it gives the experience. But it doesn't mean that academics, through books and through some laboratories, through some projects, definitely our students and we all are having some experience. And I am sure, and also we are having model that if we would like to make any startup, let's say you are in one company and you would like to make some of your new beings. How can you start this one? You need to think on the modalities. You are saying that your people, they are busy for some specified work. If so, if that could be generated from the universities, and in India, we are talking about there is a gap, and most of the high-level industries, those are generated from the institutes, universities only. And in institute, if we are thinking, yes, that segmentation that could be generated from the academics, why not is it possible? In this 300-acre campus, why not we are thinking that your part of your industry, that will be, they may take, 2 or 3 classroom or maybe 1 acre. Why not is it possible? So one day, I am sure in India it is going to be that in one part within the 300 acre, maybe 200 acres classes, laboratories, and another 100 acres, maybe some industries, these are going on. So now you are in productions or manufacturing industries, and so many electronics and electrical and other industries are there that needs this much of space. This is quite good enough. And if we are running industry from the institutes, that would be the best partnership options, in my opinion. In the forthcoming year, I am sure that is going to happen. Thank you.
So we open up to all our industry partners who are here. Some of us are already working closely for certain project-based things. Most of the heavy industries, we can just discuss about it later tonight. How if we can have certain center of excellences where we solve problems which are identified based on your experiences. So enlighten us. We can have our specific lab, center of excellences. We can discuss about it. Okay. At the end of the day, we are in a place where we are raising kids like our students to solve problems which are very abstract. So bring us your knowledge, your expertise, your problems to us, and let them see. So in that way, both of us can grow. So any of our kids, any of our students want to? Yes, that is one. So that is the only question. Huh? Please try to make it of common interest.
So first of all, good afternoon to panelists here. So I am from MTech CSC, Vivek Nidhi. I just want to add something to whatever we have been discussing today. First of all, you all are very experienced as compared to me, but I believe an experience is an experience after all. So I have really 2 years of corporate experience. So what I have seen is that what they teach us academically in university or what the recruiters ask us in interview is quite different from what we actually work in the industry. And sometimes we have to struggle a lot, and personally I felt that whatever I have learned in academically in the university is like maybe I'm not using it in the industry. So I believe internships can really bridge these gaps. They are already doing it, but then they are only doing it for some extent because they are just for maybe 6 months or 1 year of a large course such as BTech, which is of 4 years. So I believe this is one aspect where we have to look and bridge this gap. So this is what I would add. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I hand it over and see if there is anybody from the panel for your concern, 1 year internships are also, that option is not closed for master students. We have your senior best students, they have already gone for 1 year, they are there in different institutes. So, and you can always discuss. Tomorrow also, people are there. So, whenever you get a tea break, get in touch with them, speak to them. You cannot be in our own words and then think that something will fall on my lap. Interact. Okay. So, thank you for raising this issue. This may be, a common question would have been like, how do we, industry is there. They have come here, they are in their own world. My problem is that I have got to get a foot inside and then start doing something for the industry. So please get in touch with the people. We can only put up a request. Dr. Das is there, Dr. Maji is there. So they are all working. So tea breaks are a good time. Okay? Is that okay? Right? Nobody will gift you on a silver platter. So with that, we come to the end of this session. Thank you all the panelists, all the experts. I hope we had sufficient discussions, and then we'll try to consolidate them into actionable insights over the next few hours. So thank you.
Let me brief about the next programs. Now we can move our paper presentations and poster presentations, research presentations that is going on in the lecture halls. Most of the some scholars are over there, and now paper presentations are going on. After that, then again product demonstration and poster evaluation that will be going on. Students, scholars, they are attending the sessions. But for industry delegates, their shares for you as we announced, we will be having MOU signing, especially discussions with the director. That will be there. I will invite him on behalf of director. Please be there in the meeting room beside the director's room. So we will be meeting there at 5 p.m. So before that, if you wish, you can move forward to that lecture halls. And after the MOU signing, that will be discussions will be from 5 to 6, maximum 5 to 5:45. Then 6 to 7:30. Cultural program will be there, that will be in the Senate Hall. Our faculties and other volunteers, they will be guiding you. And after that, then dinner session that will be there. So this is the brief schedule of today, remaining schedule.
So, I request all of you, please take your seats. We forward my mistake. We'll felicitate our panelists. Okay. So, sir, Ajoy sir, one by one, please come. Dean Academics Professor Dandapur will do that. Actually, I thought that you are coming from that purpose. So.
क्या नाम स्टडी गेज घुमा रहा हूँ कैमरा।
किसका है?